And welcome back to the Making Waves podcast, our weekly look into Roosevelt University athletics. Joined now by Roosevelt University softball pitcher Riley Czarnecki from Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, a freshman. Riley, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Well, so far it's been a great season, not only for the team, but for you personally. 6-0 record, getting a win in all of your 6 decisions so far, 2.79 ERA. It's been a great start to the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that we have been doing really good as a team, and that I think we're surprising a lot of people with how good we've been doing, and that we've got a lot of work to do, but we're gonna have a really good season.
Well, you had a great trip to Florida, won 6 of the 4 games, had a couple of very exciting wins. One was a win in the last at bat. Overall, was the team satisfied with the trip, winning 6 of the 10 games?
Yeah, I think we were really satisfied with our trip, and it showed us that what we're really capable of doing this season, and also showed us the little things we have to improve before we get to conference play.
Well, you look ahead now to the conference season coming up. It is fast approaching. That kind of dovetails into what we wanted to ask about next, and that is the thoughts about going into the conference season. First year in the GLIAC. How is the team feeling going into the conference season right now?
I think we're feeling pretty good. I know it's going to be a tough conference, but I think that we've definitely have a potential to do really well.
Well, one thing as well, we can circle back to the on-field activities, but one thing also we were wanting to ask you about is why come to Roosevelt University? What was it about Roosevelt that drew you here to downtown Chicago, not only for your athletics career, but also for your academics career as well?
Well, I would say that I was able to attend a practice and meet several of the girls on the team, and I could just tell that there was a really good culture on the team, and it was a really good environment, and I knew that was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I also really enjoyed the facilities in Rosemont. You almost can't get anything better than that in the D2 level. And the city is also really enjoyable. There's lots to do. And on the academic side, I know that there's really good academics, and they had the program that I wanted to go into, and it was just honestly a really good fit for me.
What's your major right now, and what are your plans for your career after college?
My major is exercise science, and then I'm hoping to go into pediatric occupational therapy.
And do you feel right now that the Roosevelt education is steering you in that direction? It's going exactly where you want to?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the help I need to do what I want. And there's so many opportunities for different internships and everything around Chicago, so it's definitely going to help me out.
Circling back, as we mentioned, to the on-field, I've always curious. I like to try to get into the mind of players and what they're thinking as a game goes along. And there are 2 situations I specifically want to ask you about as a pitcher. We'll do the better one first.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a batter that is right now in an 0-2 count, say, what is your thinking as you're approaching the next pitch of that at-bat? Because it's amazing that every at-bat, they talk about in baseball, the game within a game. And each at-bat is a contest between collectively the pitcher, the catcher, and the batter. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that's fascinating about pitching. And what is your mindset when you get in a situation where you've got the batter kind of in an 0-2 count, mm-hmm. and you're kind of in the driver's seat?
I just kind of focus on what pitch is called, and then I try to get them to reach, like throw a little bit out of the zone to see if they'll go for the pitch. And I just kind of think like I'm in control at that moment, so it's up to me on where I pitch it, and if they hit it, I know I have my team back behind me to support me.
I noticed the vast majority of time a pitch might be set up a little bit, maybe let's say it's a right-handed batter, mm-hmm. 0-2 count, pitch is set up a little bit outside. You try to get the batter to chase and try to get themselves out, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure.
And then on the flip side, what are you thinking when you're behind, like in a 3-0 count? You obviously don't want to walk a batter. And it depends on the game situation. You're obviously probably a little bit more relaxed if it's a sizable lead. But in a tense game, you fall behind 3-0 to a batter and you have maybe a 1-run lead, or you're tied or you're behind a run. Mm-hmm. What's your mindset then? Because you got to try to get back into the at-bat.
I just kind of think to myself that I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I just need to throw a strike to get back in there. And that if they do hit it, like I said, I know that I have a great team behind me, and they're going to support me. They're going to be able to field the ball and get the out for me.
You know, we mentioned earlier on as well the game within a game aspect, the battle, every single at bat and really every single pitch. It has to be, I would think, mentally draining, having never pitched competitively myself, because you have to be on your game every single pitch. You can't take a break, regardless of the game situation, because again, it's a battle between the pitcher and the catcher going up against the batter, and there's no time to relax as a pitcher, isn't there?
There is not a lot of time to relax, no. But yeah, it's always nice to be involved in everything because you're the start of every pitch. You're always involved in the game.
Now, being a freshman here at Roosevelt University, what is the main difference between high school and college?
I would just say that college is just another level. It's way more competitive, and it's just another level on to high school. You have a lot more that you have to do.
And when you were pitching back in high school, was it a situation as well where it was kind of not, I don't like to say mentally taxing, but again, was it a similar situation where in high school, is it a little bit easier, or do you have to be again mentally on top of things during every single pitch?
You definitely still have to be mentally on top of things in every pitch in high school, but I think in college it's just another level since all the girls in college deserve to be here and they're all really good, whereas in high school they may not be, but yeah.
How do you prepare for a game?
I don't really have any specific things I need to do to prepare. It's just kind of a mental thing for me and just convincing myself that I'm good enough and that just kind of that aspect towards it.
And Riley, you had an interesting debut early on in the season. You started the season at the Dome in Rosemont at the NAIA leadoff event, and you had a situation where you came into a pressure game in relief. What was that like?
I would say it was a bit stressful. It's always stressful to come in with the bases loaded as your goal is to not let any runners score. But I was just thinking it was like my opportunity to show the coaches and my team what I was able to do. So I just had to have the mindset that I needed to go in and perform, and that I'd have a team behind me to back me up and get the outs, and that I just needed to do what I could do.
That brings up an interesting point as well. So many times during the course of the first few games, I was at all of the games during the NAIA leadoff event and also called them all in Florida. There were so many times, and it was so impressive, where the pitchers were able to get out of these major jams. I mean, second and third, nobody out. Bases loaded, I remember in one game. Bases loaded, nobody out. I think it was the same game where you left second and third, left the bases loaded, two more were left on in the next inning. You left a streak of runners on base, and it saved the ball game. Is there a mindset that you go through when you're in that situation, knowing that you have to get out of a really tight spot?
In those type of situations, I just take a deep breath and I think to myself, I know I can do it. And then I've said before, I think about my team behind me, and I have Athena at third who's always supporting me. And I know that if the ball goes to her, for example, she's going to make the play. She's going to do what she needs to do, just like everybody else in the infield and the outfield. So I just have to rely on my teammates, and I rely on them for their support. And then I just convince myself that even though there's runners on 2 and 3, if we do what we need to do, we'll get out of it.
And how much of a confidence boost is it for you in the circle when you know you've got fielders in behind you who will have your back?
Oh, it's everything that I could ever want, knowing that everybody around me is supporting and that they're going to do what they need to do, and that they've got my back and I also have theirs. It's really helpful.
I have a relative who pitched in Division I baseball, and he would tell me often, every batter you have to go into the feeling that you are better than the opposition. You have to have that confidence, not that you're cocky or anything like that, but you have to have that confidence just to be able to perform. Do you find that's the case as well?
Yeah, I think that self-confidence is definitely really important, and that you need to be able to believe in yourself to be able to do good things on the field. It's
interesting too. I think being a pitcher is unique in that you have more control over the game perhaps than any other player. Is there any pressure added when you're in the circle? Is there any more pressure on your shoulders, or is it something that you just take naturally?
There is definitely pressure, but I've had a lot of experience with it over the years, so it's not as much anymore, but it's just a lot of pressure in the back of my mind, I would say.
And looking ahead now, as again, we're talking about heading into conference play, is there a little bit of an increase in, maybe the best way to put it, in the adrenaline because it's a conference game now? You're into the conference season, as I've talked about so many times over the course of my career. Non-conference games are fun. You get to travel around a little bit more travel this year in the GLIAC.
Yeah.
But conference games are kind of a different situation, aren't they?
Yeah, I think conference games are a little bit more high pressure as you want to do better in conference and so that you can make it to the tournament at the end of the season. So I think, yeah.
And with the pressure there, I have to believe it's magnified with every game because, again, it's not the best comparison, but I remember talking to so many football coaches, and the pressure's on in every game, but it gets increased in the conference because you're down to the not final games of the year, but you're down to the final games as far as where you're going to go through the rest of the season, how your path through the season will go.
Yeah.
Does a team kind of realize that going into a conference season?
I think so. I think we all know the pressure that is on us and that we have to perform well if we want to make it further into the season.
How do you see the GLIAC season playing out so far? There's obviously a new situation coming aboard with Roosevelt University, first year in the GLIAC. It's got to be exciting going into a season playing at this level, especially the conference season coming in.
I know that we were in preseason, we were ranked at the bottom of the conference, but I think that we have a lot of potential and that we could do really good in this conference and that we could surprise a lot of people.
Does that kind of ranking give you a little bit of motivation?
Yeah, it makes me upset because I think that we're capable of more than what people think we are.